Okay, so who got the cold start today, you or me?
আপনি করেন
Nick, I met Nick about like year and a half ago. Amazing person. We met through some one of our events that we did, and then we've been talking real estate and a lot of other things. Since me and Nick being to a similar industry, I also work with residential stuff, so we talked a lot. And since we started the podcast, I've been talking to Nick about like bringing him on and having him on for a podcast.
I've heard a lot about Nick. আমার first time কথা হয়েছে কালকে.
Yeah.
First time I got to talk to you yesterday. By the way, Nick কিন্তু Bangladeshi.
Yeah.
Nick Rowan, he's a real estate agent.
Yep.
Pretty famous in the DMV area. আপনি কি you operate across the whole US or only in the DMV area?
So currently I'm licensed in Virginia and Maryland.
Okay, I see.
I'm working on my DC, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. They're all in similar areas, so I thought we should get those licenses as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. West Virginia, amazing. West Virginia Virginia is very pretty.
I love that. I love that area.
No, আপনি introduce করতেছিলেন. So carry on. I mean, I will ask questions in the middle, but yeah.
So today we're mostly going to talk about real estate, Nick's journey into real estate. We're also going to talk about some of the amazing things, some of the amazing organizations that he's been involved with in his career, and like recently he's been doing some amazing stuff. And then that's
his
about
future
it.
plans
And future plans,
everything.
And then we're going to kind of talk about how Nick can help people out in
first-time
real estate.
buyers or like first-time investors, right? Yeah, I think maybe I can start with the first question. So I know like real estate agent is a very big thing in the US. Bangladesh, it's not such a popular profession. So how exactly you came into this profession, or what brought you to this? Maybe you just want to share the journey of becoming a real estate agent. Yeah.
That's a very good first question.
And especially for us, those who came from Bangladesh. Ami ashar age I didn't know what a real estate agent does. I have heard it in movies. I've seen people working, but like 3 বছর আগে when I bought my first house, I actually got to interact with a real estate agent, and so that's how I, got to know what those professionals actually do. So yeah, please carry on.
So before I answer my first question, I do want to thank you, Shurza.
You're welcome.
I mean, I've been watching your podcast. It's amazing. I love the conversational aspect. I love that Tariq Mehdi's podcast. That was phenomenal. I mean,
Thank you.
That guy is a storyteller. I mean, he loves telling stories, and so thank you. And I had a great conversation with you yesterday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Journey, I feel like, everything we do in life, it propels you to something. সারা জীবন আমরা যেটা করে আসি, ওইটাই আমাদেরকে তৈরি করে একটা জিনিসের জন্য. As a human, I'm very loyal. So আমার last profession ছিল সার্ভিস ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে. আমি 2 দশকের উপরে ওখানে কাজ করলাম. So when you go through your life journey, এমন একটা সময় আসে যে আপনি বুঝে যান যে এখানেই আমার রাস্তাটা শেষ, আমাকে আরেকটা রাস্তাতে চলতে হবে।
আর গ্রোথ পটেনশিয়াল নাই অতটা।
এক্স্যাক্টলি। শুধু নিজের গ্রোথ পটেনশিয়ালের জন্য না, আপনি যেমন আমি 25টা রেস্টুরেন্টের টেক কেয়ার করতাম, দায়িত্বে ছিলাম। সো doing that for 6 years, 7 years, you change lives for same group of people. There's only limited group of people that you can help. And I feel like at that point, what I've known, I've given them enough. So now, it's like having a kid, teaching them how to bike. Once you teach them how to bike, you don't have to stand there and wait for them to fall. Now they know exactly how to ride. So I feel like at that industry, my purpose was getting completed. And when I get those feelings, I change course. And changing course, I'm also always thinking long term. What I'm going to do for next 10 years. It's always in my head. So I don't take things right away. So it took me very 2.5 years to plan, study the industry. So I didn't completely jump in right away. Hey, I'm going to get a different job. and I'm just gonna do it. No, it was pretty
So
much
you still
planned.
had your previous job, but you're kind of learning about the industry on the sides, right?
So you
Yeah.
kind of transitioned between these two industries.
And that's a good
Yeah.
suggestion for anybody who wants to,
Absolutely, yeah.
move to a different career, right?
Yeah.
To understand and learn about it, and then make the switch.
Most probably the most smartest way of doing
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you.
That's interesting. So how long have you been involved as a real estate agent?
So pre-COVID, that's when everybody hunkered down, and I was like, I'm at it. I got my license, and I'm like, now I'm gonna sell houses, and all of a sudden COVID happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, what do? You still wanna work, right? You're excited. So I didn't stop. I mean, nobody could stop me. I was just like COVID time, we're all glued to TV and we're listening what they say. Oh, realtors are essential workers, so you could work.
Right.
So I was doing open houses. I was reading, what am I supposed to do? I call my broker. I know people are going to come in because, we all are scared.
Yeah.
So I know people are going to come in. So what do? So face mask পরো, তারপরে লাইনে দাঁড় করিয়ে দাও, 6 ফিট ছিল,
6 ফিট ছিল,
প্রথমে
yeah,
6 ফিট ছিল, তারপরে 3 ফিট আসছে,
Yeah.
6 ফিটের ভিতরে করতে দিবা না। তো এরকম আমি ওপেন হাউসে যাইতাম, তারপরে ফেসবুক লাইভে বলতাম যে তোমাদের যদি ফেস মাস্ক না থাকে আমার কাছে আছে হ্যান্ড স্যানিটাইজারের অসুবিধা নাই। আমি যেখানে পাইতাম হ্যান্ড স্যানিটাইজার কিনে ফেলতাম।
Right.
So yeah, I mean, pre-COVID and COVID hit everyone really hard, and in a way.
So was COVID some sort of a blessing to you? Like, did you sell a lot of houses during COVID?
I love that word. You got that word out of my head. I love it. Yeah. It's in a way it was a blessing for if you look at us, right? In a way, as a society, we lost lives, and every lives
absolutely.
we lost, and we mourned for them, and they're remembered. But it did take us to a different world. The way world communicates now, the way world talks to each other, it's not the way it used to.
Right.
So that was the wonderful thing as human, adaptability. আমরা যে অ্যাডাপ্ট করতে পারি, আমরা যে মানুষকে বাঁচানোর জন্য, নিজেকে বাঁচানোর জন্য পথ খুঁজে ফেলছে. You couldn't get together in person to person. You know what we did? Zoom was already there, right? Yeah. But we created this new world that we communicated, and we raised kids like that.
Yeah.
They were like getting lecturers, like attending schools virtually.
I was like, my kid went straight like COVID time, and then he didn't go back to school for another year. So we did homeschooling for him, and it was fun. I mean, it was a different kind of experience. But it was fun, and I'm very private anyways, so I'm not like hanging out with a lot of people. Like Tamaddun and 2-3 more people are just a few people that I regularly talk to or like see. But like COVID time was my best year, and what I've been doing this for 14 years now, and that was my best year ever in 14 years. So like people were really kind of they were in a mindset like, oh, this is it, we have to live right now, we have to go out and
we don't know how long we're gonna live. So spend all the money.
yeah absolutely. Yeah we got all these checks coming in and whatnot. So and it helped a lot of the industries and people, which because what, when we did this work, there was other people who actually got to survive on.
Right. Yeah, it helped the entire economy. Like, those who are like investing in real estate, they did remodeling, renovations, so people got to work. That's how we survived.
Cleaning people went out and cleaned houses. There's a lot of stagers who were like solely their life depends on like renting furnitures out and stuff like that. So it's
I think like all the like services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, those things also kind of flourished, right? Because And that kind of became part of our practice nowadays.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We hardly go to restaurants. We just order from home.
All the COVID stuff stayed. Yeah. Still today, like we're so quick on, let's go do a Zoom call. Like before we used to meet, do the meeting and do,
It was used to be, let's grab a coffee. Now it's like, let's do a Zoom call.
Let's do a Zoom call.
Yeah, so I want to come back to Nick's topic there. So pre-COVID, you started this. You said like you have some ideas before and you were studying it. So when you were getting into this profession, what were the initial challenges you faced? And that can be like, based on your experience, and what would you like to tell to those who want to become a real estate agent in the future, those who are interested? If you want to tell us a little bit about the entire industry as a whole, what's the opportunity in the US and how exactly it works even? I think many people do not even understand what's the role of a real estate agent in the US. So if you would like to, shed some light on that.
That's another very good question. And I really hope somebody is young, they're watching, somebody wants to start their journey in real estate. I get called all the time and I want to get my license. I just met up with someone named Saleh a few weeks ago. He's like, Nick, I want to get my license. Let's meet up. I'm always willing to guide people, right? Young people. So I met up with him, and I'm someone who's going to give you like it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is not HGTV. This is the biggest conception. I'll tell you a couple of statistics that's going to like blow your mind. Last year, 49% of real estate agents made $0.
Oh, wow.
Wow. You mean 2023 or like this running year? Like 2023?
Last year.
Okay.
Wow.
And if you look back statistics, it's pretty much similar to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, and here's the thing. 80% of people get real estate license. Within 2 years, they give up and they go back to doing what they were doing without making one single sale. Again, these are negative statistics. These are the statistics. And you know why? When you get your license, most people don't really realize you're opening up your own business. So anybody wants to get a license, you're opening up your own business. That statistics that 80% of the people that quit, it's not unheard of. When you open up your business, right? If you look at your business statistics, over 80% of business fails within 2 years.
Most of the startups fail. Yeah. Most of the startups actually fail. Yeah.
There you go. The reason they failed because they weren't prepared for it. So for agents' perspective, even me, like if you think about it, like if I go back and think, like, why did I get my license? Obviously, there are a lot bigger cause than why I got my license. But also, your thinking is like, those HGTV we talked about. সবাই মনে করে যে লাইসেন্স নিয়ে নিব, একটা বাড়ি বিক্রি করব, ও মাই গড, একটা বাড়ি কিনবো 10,000 15,000 1 মিলিয়ন একটা বাড়ি বিক্রি করলে তো 25,000 পেয়ে যাব, ওইটা দিয়ে সারা
rest of the year I'm gonna
it's not like that.
No.
So when I got my license, again, that preparedness a couple of years prior to getting my license, that helped me understand what I'm getting into. So when I got my license, obviously you're right, I kept my job because there has to be a transition period. We're not people that are middle class, growing up in middle class, we start from zero in a way, right? So somebody has to pay bills. So then once I got my license, first thing I did, look for a mentor. I had 2 amazing mentors, Howard Fevers, Grace Wilson. They were there. Another thing I did right away, I got into coaching. The best thing you can do, any human being, invest in yourself, right? Grow yourself. When you grow yourself, you can grow other people. So I invested myself. I got into coaching. Tom Ferry, it's #1 real estate coach in the world globally. So I got my coach. She guided me through it. So first year I did 2 transactions. That was 2019. Second year I did the 2020. I did 4. So multiplied. year, and then you said, I did pretty good. 2021, I did 21 transactions.
What?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, and you'd see hysterically, like the graph goes zoop, all the way up, and it's like we didn't know what to do with all this stuff.
Exactly.
You know? I'm like, whoa, like people are like, can you come tomorrow? Like, we don't want to talk estimates, nothing. We got all the monies. Yeah, things were like, you couldn't like touch a property. You kind of bought your house around that
In
same time
2021
too.
as well.
Remember, you're looking at houses and like everything that you looked at was gone the next morning.
Bargaining, like potential buyers were like offering more than what the
Bidding wars.
So there were bidding wars. I lost a couple of them, so I know how it was. Yeah.
It was crazy. Speaking of bidding war, whenever I get a chance to talk about bidding war, I always tell this example. So I had a client looking for a property, right, in Silver Spring. So the price was $250, and we went there. I couldn't even breathe. There was so much stuff in the house. We can't talk about mold because we're not, realtors are not licensed.
Yeah.
But you can smell things in there. So she's like, I still want it. Okay, fine, no problem. $250. She put an offer $80,000 over for that dinky little house. $80,000 over cash.
Yeah.
They received 45 offers and we lost.
Yeah.
So it was that crazy. But going back to, you guys were touching something very, very important. So all these things happened, right?
Yeah.
So COVID time, your price of appreciation in normal market around 5%, 4.5% to 5%, year-to-year appreciation. COVID time, we saw close to 30%. Like in West Coast, in California, Sacramento, those areas, they saw even like 50%, 40%. But in our DC area, Washington, DC area, 29.7%. That's not sustainable.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not.
It's not sustainable. But you know what it did? It made the houses look beautiful.
Yeah.
He can relate to it.
Yeah. DC, like,
Yeah.
DC changed like crazy. Because you have to understand, like, all these areas, people moved out and then people moved in. And in COVID, there was a lot of good deals that went out too.
Oh, yeah.
I was part of one. I was like, this is amazing deal. Like with the interest rate. So if you were working during COVID, your interest rate was hella low.
I know.
Like,
I know.
The problem is some people are holding on to it.
And when I say it to my friends, they don't even believe it. I don't want to say it on camera, but you cannot imagine how low it was.
Yeah. I mean, I refinanced this place during COVID. So
Nice. Good job. Smart man there.
So go ahead. Yeah, we were talking about we were talking about the real estate journey during COVID.
So I want to add a question
Yeah.
here. So you mentioned you had a few mentors and then you got into coaching, you had a coach. So what's the difference between those two? Like in the real estate industry, what do you mean by a mentor and what do you mean by a coach? So I understand mentor is someone who is kind of helping you voluntarily. Coach is someone you pay to get the service. Or is there anything else besides that?
Most definitely. A mentor could be a really good agent that's been in business for 30, 35 years. But within that 30, 35 years, technology changed, right? The way they used to do business has changed. Back in the days, it's crazy. So they didn't have computers. Like my friend, my mentor Grace and Howard, they still talk about it. So they used to go to physical office and they would have a book with all the listing. There's no computer. Computers hasn't even been in the world yet. So they would have a book and they would flip through properties and they would see that black and white color. It's not even colored book, right?
Yeah.
So and they would read this description, like 4-bedroom, 3.5, half bathroom. So it's all visual with numbers and description, whatever description people put in. So they would flip through those and they would have like I don't know what this called, like those the phone numbers thing. I don't know what is the actual thing. We don't even have them anymore in the world.
The Rolodex.
The
Rolodex. Yeah, my dad used to have one of those things, and then go click 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 on the phone.
So they would pick up this Rolodex and then pick a phone number and then they would call. And then people would actually go. That's when like real estate agents were different.
Yeah.
You would need, people would have to go to a building, walk into a building, talk to a realtor, see what their opinion is. And things have completely changed. Obviously, there's no other option. We have to say it's for better, right? Because that's how the world behaves. So mentors, to go back to your question, mentors are the one, they have been there. They can guide you, help you through physical, being there with you physically. Coaches are seeing long perspective-wise. Like right now, my coach and I, our biggest talk is it's how do we take AI, predictive analytic to help my clients? What questions do I ask? It has over the last 3.5 weeks, my life completely changed because of that conversation that I had with my coach.
I see.
Simple things. Your mentors are there. They would take you to open house. They will tell you exactly.
Mostly hands-on kind of experience, right?
Mostly hands-on kind of experience. দেখা দিবে যে এইভাবে কথা বলতে হবে, কমিউনিকেশনটা কিভাবে করতে হবে। কোচও বলবে, কিন্তু কোচের সঙ্গে তো আপনার হাফ অ্যান আওয়ার টাইম থাকে। কিন্তু মেন্টর তো আপনি রাত 12টার সময় আপনি টেক্সট করে বলতে পারবেন যে এই সিচুয়েশনটা হচ্ছে, এটাতে কি হবে। আর so yeah, that's the biggest difference.
I want to add something here with I feel like mentors kind of teach you the tricks and trades of the business, and how to jump. I most of my life of this whatever I do, it's mostly sales based. So that's pretty much job. I started in this sales industry with selling cars. So my mentor used to tell me, no matter how hot it is, you wear your nicest suit and you go out and stand at the parking lot so that you can greet the first customer that drives in, right? But and coach is sort of when I was selling for Sardo painters, I worked for them for a long time, a huge portion of my career. Our coaches, we would go on these classes and stuff like that. They would actually teach us how Nick said, the technology and what you should do to get new customers, and sort of what are the new, what makes you do the things that other people are not doing, what makes you unique, and sort of the deal, I guess.
I see. Yeah, that's good to know. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of young audience might just wonder what exactly is a mentor and what exactly is a coach and how exactly you find them. So in your case, when you started working, you said you had a couple of amazing mentors. And I think that's because once you started working, they were working for the same company and you get listed to a company. That's how it works, right? Once you get your license, you get associated with a company and then you get to meet people through that. And your coach is somebody that you pick, there might be, and I'm assuming the coach that you talk to, he's not or she's not necessarily talking to only real estate agents, is he? Or it's more like a generic, I would say, career advice type of coach? Or is it industry specific?
There's so many different type of coach. Coaches are dime a dozen. We all could be a coach, right? So mine it's just predominantly real estate related. They are number one coaching company in real estate. They only train realtors. They only coach realtors. They're also within that industry. There are so many other different types of coach. Your client specific coach. Somebody is gonna coach you to get first time home buyers. Somebody's gonna teach you how to get clients through FSBO. FSBO is a term for sale by owner. In real estate. So, those somebody who doesn't want to use a realtor. I'm going to be honest with you, to be honest. Realtors, have a stigma to it to some people.
Yeah, there's car salesmen and then realtors.
Yeah. Sleazy car salesman and sleazy house salesman.
Yeah.
So there are, we're not all loved, So there are people who's going to say, why would I need a realtor? I can sell my house. And what they don't realize, statistically, according to National Association of Realtors, people who doesn't use Realtor, they make an average 30,000 less on their house, even after paying Realtor's commission. Because every profession brings a specific knowledge, and then we can help guide them. So yeah, there are some specific coaches that will target. Mine, like I mentioned, globally they're number one, so they pretty much teach you everything from different aspects.
I see.
Yeah. I want to get to part of where we get coached from Nick a little bit. We talked about how can someone be a realtor. I know I've been talking to Nick about some investments and stuff recently. Not directly for me, but through I have some people, friends and families and stuff like that. So we've been talking about this a lot. So it's just like we teamed up because I have a kind of sort of interest and things like that. So what are your would be your kind of suggestions or insight for people who are buying, say, first-time homes or in first-time property? Let it be investment. We were right before the show. We were talking about especially in our community, you could be a first-time investor, and we could talk about that rather than being a first-time homeowner because of our family units and how we work as a culture. Yeah.
I just want to add to that. আমাদের দেশের কালচারটা এরকম যে আমরা যখনই মনে করি যে we're going to buy a house, আমাদের ইন্টেনশনটাই থাকে আমরা we're going to move into that house and we're going to stay into it. Whereas investment is something that you buy and rent it out, right? So that you make money out of it, or
you flip it,
you flip it, or you sell it after 10 years just to make more money out of it. So ওই জায়গাটা থেকে I think I will just add the spice of community here. How exactly the Bangladeshi community respond to that? How interested they are, both in terms of, especially those who moved here. Like most of the Bangladeshis I see around me nowadays are who came to study. And that's probably going to dominate for the next 20 years or so. I don't know for how long, but that's the majority now. It used to be like those who used to come in DV visa, but nowadays it's more like students who coming and then settling down, right? So they're moving into the US somewhere between 25 to 30 years old. And maybe somewhere between 30, 35, they're going to buy their first property. So how do you see that market growing among the Bangladeshi community? And would you like to, shed some light on how exactly they differentiate between buying their first home in contrast to buying their first property or investment?
Okay. There are so many wonderful things said within that few seconds. There are it's fantastic. There are a lot of people, young people, male, female, are coming from Bangladesh, young, to study. You are actually speaking with one right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
So I have a computer engineering degree.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Wow, yeah.
Capital College. I graduated 2002. Right after 9/11. That's a completely different story, different subject. But going back to investment and how our culture works. So, আমাদের বাংলাদেশে আমাদের অনেক পরিবার থাকে, আমাদের রিসোর্স তো অনেক কম ওখানে, জায়গাও কম, পয়সাও অনেকের নাই, যা অনেকের যে বাড়ির স্বপ্ন, কেনার স্বপ্ন, ওই স্বপ্ন ওখানে অনেক millions of people ওই স্বপ্ন কোনোদিন পুরো করতে পারে না। এখানে আসার পরে স্টুডেন্টই হোক, যেভাবেই হোক, ওই স্বপ্নটা পূরণ করার জন্য এই গভর্নমেন্ট, এই কান্ট্রি অনেক ধরনের অপরচুনিটি দিয়ে থাকে। অনেকে ভয়ে আছে ইন্টারেস্ট রেট বেড়ে যাবে, এইটা হবে সেটা হবে। You can still make it. If you have a dream of owning something, 95%, I want your viewers to know this. I always tell everyone this. 95% of generational wealth. What's a generational wealth? Something that you pass on to your next generation, to your kids. যেই স্ট্রাগলটা আপনি করে আসছেন, ওই স্ট্রাগলটা যেন তাদেরকে করতে না হয়। তারা যেটা করতে ওদের ভালো লাগে, তারা যেন সেটাই করতে পারে দুনিয়াতে। শিক্ষা তো তাদেরকে দিতে হবে। আপনি ওদেরকে শিক্ষিত করবেন, ভালো করবেন, সেটাতে অসুবিধা। কিন্তু যে স্ট্রাগলগুলি আপনি করে আসছেন, তারা যেন সেটা না করতে পারে। How can you do it? Generational wealth. 95% of generational wealth is built in this country. It's through owning real estate. You talk about a first-time home buyer, right? First-time. So, and another thing that I see a lot of us make this mistake, and I hope more and more, a lot of people don't make this mistake, but some do. And I hope from this conversation, অনেকে বুঝে যায় যে your first home, it's not your dream home.
It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. In most cases, it's not. Like if you started as a young, right? And you're starting out, you're making 100,000, 120,000 a year. You know, that's going to buy you what, like $400,000 townhouse, or maybe 450. So is that your dream home? No. So buy a home, getting your first one. It's the key. Get into it, buy it. When you look at projection, next 10 years, you know, we talked about COVID time, 30% price appreciation হচ্ছে. Next 10 years of projection, আমরা দেখছি যে it's going to go back to normal. 4.5.
That's good to know.
4.5, 5%. So if somebody is telling you don't buy, price is going to drop, just don't pay any attention to them.
Yeah.
Because
it's going to stay where,
it's not going to shoot up like it has been. And it's not sustainable. We know it's not sustainable anyway.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? It's going to level up. But real estate, you know, Shurja will tell you, real estate is not short term. There's no you buy a property, you become a millionaire. There's no such thing.
Right.
Yeah. We were talking about a property that day. You invest almost $500,000 in a property and you make $30,000 off of it, and you sit on that property for 3 months. That is the best case scenario.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a long game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think return on investment per property is not that high. If you can buy a lot of property, then only you can make a lot of money in a short term.
But then you become, once you buy the first one, you get into the habit of it.
Exactly.
Then it becomes a...
Yeah, because the amount of paperwork I had to do, I never signed so many papers in my life, like sitting on my desk and just signing so many things. I probably didn't read half of it. It's not even possible. I don't know if anybody read it. Right?
It's boilerplate. So you just look at where the numbers are.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, so I'm going to give you another statistics. I love statistics. I'm a math guy. So, you know, obviously you have to buy your first one to buy a second one, right? Here's the statistics. If you buy your second property, you have 70% of chances to get 5 to 7 properties.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. If you get to the...
Is it pushing you to buy a second one?
Yeah, definitely.
I've done my job.
Yeah.
I think also the trick with investments, I believe trick is to start with small properties, find it which is very easily to rentable. I think that's where you start off. And like flipping is not everyone's game.
No.
You have to have some sort of mentors.
Maybe flipping take a define kore dite
So
pareন.
actually Nick can explain it better than me.
I doubt it, but I'll try.
Yeah.
So you live it.
Yeah.
So flipping means you buy a property that has been abandoned. You know, the owner lived there for a while. They didn't take care of it, or it went under foreclosure. So it's decapitated in a way. So you buy those properties for very low cost, and then you have professionals like Shurjo come in there and make it look all beautiful, shiny, and then you invite the next buyer to buy that property for a good profit margin. And speaking of those property, flipping will come with risk. The biggest risk is not understanding the numbers. It's all numbers. You look at a number. You're investing 500,000, and if you're not, after 5 months, if you're not even making 30,000, you might as well work in McDonald's.
Yeah,
You're probably gonna make, in
right.
6 months you're probably gonna make more. So it's all numbers. You have to look at a property, and oftentimes I see people make this mistake, right? They overspend. And again, Shurja will tell you, just because you put a $100,000 more expensive granite countertop doesn't mean you're getting that money back.
Yeah.
buyer that's buying that property probably bought that property just because of that gazebo that you put outside. He doesn't care for this granite thing.
Right.
So it's very, very important to be conservative, look at the numbers correctly, and what's your return of your investment, what's your cash flow, how to calculate cash flow. Those are very, very important things. What's the right number of cash flow? What's the right number of return of your investment? So right number of return of investment, in my opinion, should be, I always like to keep it 10%.
I think I have found that 10% to be quite consistent across many industries, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that put your net present value to be positive, essentially, like if you get into the numbers. But I mean, it has to be at least 10%.
I want to touch on something that Nick said about, like, it's not a rant. I had a customer. I hope they don't mind me sharing these stories. I haven't done another house with them.
Just don't tell their name.
So it's a husband-wife duo. One of them, they're creative, right? So one of them is a real estate photographer. Another one is a designer, like an interior designer and whatnot, right?
Nice.
So I got to know them through their family because I was working with their family, and they bought their first investment property, and it's out in your neck of the woods in Baltimore.
Oh, nice.
It's a couple of years ago, and it's just doing work in Baltimore is just like hell. Like starting from putting a dumpster and getting permits and everything is just a long way, right? And what they ended up doing is they ended up putting all this expensive stuff in there, even though I was telling them, I was like, look, you're ballooning this thing up to a point you can't even comprehend like selling this thing anymore. So what they ended up doing was they stayed in that house because they couldn't sell it. The money they wanted out of it, couldn't sell it because you cannot get too attached to stuff, and not everything is designer. Like you have to keep the numbers and the business part, that like ami dhuklam, you buy it, you sell it. Now you want to buy a rental property, that's a different thing. You have to have the mindset from day one, because I see a lot of people get overboard, and I see a lot of my seasoned investors that I have done work for them years. Like actually these are the people who survived me, like, during my hard times with the business when I started a business, because these are the people who carried over from the previous company. And some of them just don't even like care. He just does the number, he just the budget, we go out and do our thing. And sometimes yes, there are situations where with sight unseen properties, you're gonna have surprises. Small surprises, big surprises. And the well-seasoned investors, again, when you're doing 5, 6, 7 transactions a year, and that's what you're doing as a passive income, people like playing poker, some like smoking cigars, and you have investors who like investing. That's their hobby, right? So they are more acceptable on things like that. Like I had someone where I opened up a wall and there was like a different kind of...
I can imagine. You find some live animal there.
and it was actually mold, and it was because when they were selling the property, they painted over everything, and you know how like you shellac everything and everything smells, then you can't smell anything anymore. I shellacked your house.
Right, yeah.
So, and I called up the investor. I was like, hey, look, this is what's going on, a quick picture. And he was like, you go do your thing. And he took a hit, but he made it up. Like, and he had a plan. It was like, oh, I took this hit. I got to make it up from the other transactions that I have. So, So, sorry. Go ahead. We've been...
No, I think we're having similar conversation. Yeah. You win some, you lose some. You know, like a seasoned investor, like you said, they do 5 to 10 properties, and one don't make money, sit in the property in the market. It's okay. But if somebody's coming up brand new investor, they're starting their first property. That's when you have to be careful. That's when you have to tell them no. You can't put those granite countertop. That's not going to give you. And now you've done your job. Right? Your job is to tell them. And also, a lot of times people do want to do their thing, but that's the struggle they will have to follow. You have to listen to professionals, in my opinion.
So do you get to pick, like, let's say neighborhoods, like you talked about the granite countertops, right? So when you are trying to buy or sell a property, do you also pick the neighborhood, like, or somehow decide not to buy properties from certain neighborhoods, or how exactly you do the filtering? Like, you can have multiple options, but which ones do you pick? Do you always look for where you have the maximum profit margin, or where it's like more, it's safer to, approach that property? How do you make that selection?
Okay, so realtors are our salespeople. As a salespeople, we have to follow a lot of National Association of Realtors ethics rules. Every neighborhood is good.
Okay.
Right? To us, we have to treat every neighborhood, everyone equal, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their gender,
socioeconomic
condition. Everybody's equal to us. But you said the other correct thing. You look at the number. If it's attractive to the investor. So you talk about the numbers. Obviously, a neighborhood that are like $300,000 neighborhood, you're not gonna put $25,000 granite countertop.
Right.
You're not gonna do a $70,000 bathroom. So that's given. You have to look at the number, and you have to look at the profitability, and what the cost of that material versus keep things. I always tell, even within a number, you can pick good quality, right? You just have to shop around. Spend a little bit extra time to shop around for those quality product. It doesn't always have to be like cheap stuff, and which buyers are gonna walk in, they're gonna refuse to buy no matter what. If the job is, I've seen in Baltimore, $200,000 property done beautifully. I've seen $300,000 property that just shows like really bad craftsmanship. So you can. I think we're speaking too much English. Right?
That's okay. Yeah. That's okay.
That's fine. I know, like, you have a lot of English-speaking customers as well. So
okay.
Yeah. So it's whatever you feel like. Up to mix karo bolte hobe. No problem.
Okay. So it really depends on the numbers to be accurate.
No, I want to. So for me, it's always like if you're coming in not from a lot of money, if you don't have old money, you have saved up, or you have as a family, or you have some money you want to invest in and whatnot. Start with small places that are quick and easy to do, so that you get into the habit of it.
Yeah.
It's because another thing I always tell this to first-time home buyers too. I have seen a lot of people who bought their first home, calls me in, and they want to change everything, Nick. The first day I was like, oh, change this, change that. I was like, you know what? Just do the basics. Like, you don't like the paint? Do the paint. Unless, and I told you this too, you live in your house for at least a year, and then you can figure out what you want to do. Just like I told him, like, you don't need all your 3 bathrooms done. Just get 1 bathroom done, paint the house, move in, stay there for a year, and then we can figure out what to do.
Good idea.
It's because you don't know what's happening with the house. So same with investments, you have to kind of get into the habit of doing it. And I would say, again, real estate is a long game. You won't, it's not like you're going to buy a property tomorrow, make a lot of money and get away with it. And like, also, you also don't get into the thought that like you're going to buy a rental property, rent it out, and then everything's going to be peachy and keen and like, rainbows and butterflies. There's a lot of issues with that too.
There's a lot of issues with that. And I don't know if you're going to ask me this question, but I do want to talk about why that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want to add another question, so maybe you can respond to both. I know we talked about the National Association of Realtors, like NAR, and I was just reading about it, and I saw like there has been some changes in the commission, like on August 7th of this year. So if you would like to add to that, comment on that as well.
Absolutely.
Like what sort of regulations are there, and how it changes the industry, or how exactly, from a buyer's perspective or a seller's perspective, how exactly we should be, how exactly we prepare ourselves with those changes.
That's a very good question, Tamadin. It's very, very important we understand exactly what's happening. There's going to be, when changes happen, there's a lot of confusion, right? Change it's difficult. So there's a lot of changes are happening in real estate industry right now. So it was affected August 14 from that rule change. So
Okay.
what's happening right now? A couple of years ago, some sellers got together একসাথে হয়ে ন্যাশনাল অ্যাসোসিয়েশন অফ রিয়েলটার্সকে সু করছে।
আচ্ছা
সু করে বলছে যে আমরা তো জানতামই না যে বায়ারের অ্যাজ অফ না বিফোর দিস রুল চেঞ্জ the sellers were traditionally they were paying the realtors commission both sides.
Okay.
Both sides. So when somebody's take a listing, they go to the seller and they take a listing for certain amount. A lot of people say 6%. There's no number. It's always negotiated. It's always been negotiated.
Okay.
So lot of misinterpretation হচ্ছে যে realtor সব সময় 6% charge করে. That's not true. It's always been negotiated. হচ্ছিল কি ট্রেডিশনালি যে স্যালারি বায়ার এজেন্টকে পে করতো। So what's happening right now, National Association of Realtor ওই ইয়েতে সেটেল করছে, ওরা লিটিগেশনে যায় নাই। সেটেল হওয়ার পরে রুল চেঞ্জ হচ্ছে যে এইটা আগে যখন মানে সে লিস্টিংটা নিত, আমাদের একটা ওয়েবসাইট আছে MLS, মাল্টিপল লিস্টিং সার্ভিস, যেখানে আমরা শুধু আমাদের রিয়েলটারই অ্যাক্সেস থাকে। আপনারা যখন যান জিলোতে, রেডফিনে, অনলাইনে, গুগলে গিয়ে অ্যাডভার্টাইজ মানে বাড়ি চেক করতে, ওইগুলি একদম আপডেটেড ইনফরমেশন থাকে না। Sometimes there's like a 1 day, 2 days lag behind it. Those website picks up all the listing from আমাদের MLS থেকে. So
MLS is the original database.
I see. From Realtor. So if you're my client, I would go to MLS and I'll look for properties. ওইখানে লেখা থাকতো যে সেলার বায়ারকে কত পার্সেন্টেজ পে করবে, বায়ার এজেন্টকে।
আচ্ছা।
So they would clearly say buyers agents compensation 2.5%, 3%, whatever it might be. They would advertise it. As of August 14, that is no longer there.
Okay. So এখন বায়ারের এজেন্টের পয়সাটা কে দিবে?
Okay, so that's another very good question. So now you're supposed to, as an agent, you're supposed to sit down with the buyer and then say, you have to tell them what your fee is.
Achha.
So you tell them 2.5%. This is what I do. I'm going to charge you to my fee is 2.5%. Now here's the thing though. The rule doesn't say the seller can't pay. You just have to know how to negotiate with the seller. That's where the most important part, কোন agent negotiation করতে পারে.
I see.
So you can go back to the seller and say, and here's the thing though, there's so many different aspects of it. একজন seller যদি বলে যে আমি বায়ার এজেন্টকে কমিশন দিব না, পে করব না, কারণ এটা নিউ রুল আমাকে বলছে দিতে হবে না, এটা বলে নাই, যদি বলে যে আমি দিব না, right? What's going to happen? Think about the buyer side. They're going to have to come up with the down payment. They're going to have to come up with the closing cost. Now they're going to have to pay their realtor. So the buyer is going to say, you know what, I don't have that much money to buy that property. Let's look for something else.
Right.
So what's going to happen? That property is going to sit there
for a long time.
A long time. And guess what? Who's going to have fun with it?
The investors.
I don't know.
Obviously the investors, but the agents that can negotiate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see your point. Yeah.
So remember, my fee is 3%, right? Or 2.5%. Whatever I have a communication with my buyer, they like that property that's been sitting there for 2.5 months, 6, maybe even 3 months. Guess what the seller wants? He wants to sell it, right? Guess what conversation Nick is going to have with them? You have to pay the buyer agent's commission. And that's how, so nothing really changed. Like principally, nothing really changed. The seller can't advertise what they're gonna pay the buyers.
So that's the only caveat they have.
That's only. There are a few other rules also.
Okay.
I love this in a way, if you ask me, because now you have to have a conversation with the buyer. There are so many times I've seen somebody wants to buy a property and they are so excited. They go to Zillow and show me this property, right? And then agents are like show up. They're like, what is that called? Like on-demand agent, right? They'll show up, they will open the door, they'll show the property. Now, the rules say you have to have a buyer agency agreement to see a property.
Oh, nice.
So, and it's gonna work out so much better. Here's why. All these poor...
But Nick, wasn't it like because I remember back in the days, not these days, back in the days, I'm talking about 10 years ago, you had to sign one of those.
It's, Shujo, you're so correct. It's always been the rule.
Yeah.
It's always, but it was never enforced.
Yeah.
Now, National Association of Realtors said this is the rule everybody has to follow.
Yeah.
So before it was followed, it was a rule, like Maryland had that rule. You have to have a buyer agency agreement with the buyer to show a property. It's always been the rule. Nobody was following. So now they have to. And it's going to work so much better. Here's why. Online leads, we pay for online. A lot of people, I don't know if people know, we get clients through online leads, right? Somebody clicks to...
I had to explain that to someone that day. Oh, you're going to pay for leads? I was like, yes.
and they're not cheap.
No.
These leads are not cheap. So if somebody clicks a property, I want to see a property, right? These companies, Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, these are technological company. They're just website. They sell that information to an agent. So agents gets notification. So agent shows up, agent shows the property. The person say, I don't like it.
And it's most of the time it's multiple agents. So whoever gets that customer on the phone first, and then you're already couple $100 out.
Yeah.
On that one lead that you didn't even talk to.
Yep. and guess what? If you don't have buyer agency agreement, if that person buys it with another person, there's nothing you can do.
Actually, the reason I asked you that question, like 10 years, I think it was even before that, maybe 15 years ago, and it's happened in Woodbridge. My dad looked at a property with one real estate agent. And something happened between the real estate agent and my dad. So he fired the previous real estate agent. Now he has a new real estate agent. Now he wants to put an offer on the house, and he couldn't put it because he already viewed the house with the previous agent.
Yep.
So I that's how I was like, why couldn't? And my dad then explained me, like, I had to sign this paperwork before. I was like, oh, okay.
It's very, very important. National Association of Realtors, again, has like some ethics rules. We can't take other people's client, their actual client. Client means somebody signed a contract. So if somebody comes to me and say, it has happened so many times. People would say, Nick, bhai, I want to buy this property. Can you put an offer? My first question would be, are you in a contract with another agent? Because if they're in a contract, why would I take somebody's reject?
But professionally, it's unethical, even though it might not be illegal. But now it's illegal, is it? Like
it's always been illegal.
It's always been illegal. But okay, I see.
So it's always good to ask them if they're in a contract. So those are some of the rules. Again, there's no rules that seller can't pay buyers agents commission. They can't advertise.
Yeah.
And then now the agents have to sit down with the buyer, which is fantastic. I don't show anybody any property without sitting down with them, explaining them what the buying process. And that's when you have to say what your value is. If you're going to charge 2.5%, 3%, what value do you bring in? There are 95 different things that I do for my clients, right? It's talked about in the meeting. So, another misconception is like all agents are the same. It's like all doctors are not same. All teachers, there's some fantastic, phenomenal teachers, and there are some not. So it's just like what value you bring to your client, and that's important. And if the client doesn't think you bring value, there always has to be a termination clause. So they can. So that's very important.
And it's আমাদের community জন্য একটা কথা বলি. Again, renting. দেখেন, you get what you pay for. So if you want to work with a good agent, if you want to go work with a good remodeler or flipper or something, try to value their knowledge and skill. It is very important. You be very careful of who you're picking, because whatever percentage of commission these people are getting is a lot of money. So choose the people you choose wisely. It's not always the cheapest deal is the best deal that you can get. I have seen, especially in my community, I have seen getting ripped off by real estate agents, getting ripped off by remodelers or people, construction people. What happens is they come in very cheap, but when the work is done, it's not good quality work, and then you can't do nothing about it. And because these people are part of the community, we have that old mentality of like, nah, it apneri dosh, sort of a deal.
Yeah.
And
ঠিক আছে যাব আমরা
yeah.
সরি আমাদের একটা টেকনিক্যাল ডিফিকাল্টিস হলো, সো আমি একটু টপিকে ফেরত আসি। আমি নিক ভাইকে যেটা জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাচ্ছিলাম সেটা হচ্ছে নিক ভাই ইজ দি President of Education, right?
Director
of Education in the South Asian Association of Real Estate Professionals, SAREP. So if you would like to add to that, I know you're talking about the founding members of SAREP and how exactly it came into existence. I know you'll have to repeat that, but
Sure,
sorry about
absolutely,
it. Please go on. Yeah.
So this was kind of brainchild one Bengali, amazing, আমাদের গর্ব বাঙালি তানভীর আজিজ A to Z title company ownership করে তার 5টা লোকেশন, him and couple other friends, Atul Gupta, Anita George, ওরা বসেছিল এক জায়গাতে। সো উনি একটা স্টোরি আমাদেরকে শুনাইলেন। স্টোরিটা এমন হচ্ছে যে ওনারা একটা প্রোগ্রামে গেলেন, প্রোগ্রামে দেওয়ার ইন দ্য অডিয়েন্স, যারা প্যানেলে ছিল একজন বাঙালিও ছিল, একজন পাকিস্তানিও ছিল, একজন 2-3 জন হোয়াইট ইউরোপিয়ান ছিল। প্রোগ্রামের শেষে যখন শেষ হয়, কোয়েশ্চেন অ্যান্ড অ্যান্সার সেশন আসে, অডিয়েন্সরা সবগুলি কোয়েশ্চেন ইউরোপিয়ান হোয়াইটদেরকে করছে। এদিকে এদের ক্রেডেনশিয়াল কিন্তু বাঙালি আর ইন্ডিয়ান যারা, এদের ক্রেডেনশিয়াল এদের থেকে অনেক বেশি, কিন্তু সব কোয়েশ্চেন যাচ্ছে ওদের কাছে। সো দেন হি ইজ থিঙ্কিং ওয়াই দ্যাটস হ্যাপেনিং। We're also professionals within our group, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, even though we all live in our own bubble, but people are not seeing us that way. So what could happen? How can we change that? So যে Latino organization NAREP এভাবেই শুরু হয়, or that organization changed people's lives. But we don't, as a South Asian, we don't have anything like that. So that's when we started, I don't know how he found me. He found me on Facebook. He reached out to me. The launch day was in Tyson's Corner. It was an amazing event. So we launched 3.5 years ago, and we take pride in it. I'm the director of education there. We do webinars. We do in-person meetup. We even took everybody. You would love this. Luxury, how to build luxury homes. We actually took everyone to a new construction and showed them this beautiful mansion. Eventually sold for close to $4 million. And we do things like that people have not seen. We do we do iftar parties. We do holiday parties. So it's bringing everybody together and promoting each other. When you look at real estate business, right, it's connected to everything. Realtors do open house, they bring food, right? It's supporting someone. So it's every business in DMV and anywhere, it's directly or indirectly related to real estate. So it's not only for realtors and lenders, it's for everyone. Even you guys are welcome there, because you are part of this business as well.
Yeah.
That's interesting. আসলে এরকম দরকার আমাদের কমিউনাল যে ভয়েসটা, সেটা আই থিঙ্ক ডাইভার্সিটি ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। সো এই জায়গাটা আই থিঙ্ক আরেকটু আমি এই জায়গাটা জিজ্ঞেস করতে চাই যে you were talking about how your coach is helping you to use AI and data-driven analytics to make decisions, and at the same time you are the president of education or director of education. You're organizing webinars. So how do you see the future of real estate? Do you see it to become completely like a digital platform where everything will be AI driven? do you see realtors becoming irrelevant in the future? Like all the decisions are made by the AI, and just by reading the buyer's mind, they will know what's the right house for it. How exactly do you see it? To what extent do you use data to make decisions?
It's funny. Sometimes I joke around. I say, I only get paid to deal with people's emotion.
It's a good one. Yeah.
So buying a property, it's very intimate. It's very emotional.
It's organic, right?
It's organic.
Yeah.
I mean, the conversation that I'm gonna have with my client when they're like 11 o'clock at night and crying because their loan is not closing, can AI have that conversation with them?
Yeah, no.
Yes, some jobs are like any other jobs. AI is going to replace many jobs. We're going to see it. It's going to be unfortunate. But you know what? So did typewriters.
Right.
Like people used to type. We don't have them anymore. We progressed. So in my opinion, no. Realtors will always be there because we do much more than just opening doors, signing paperwork. There's so much more to it. But AI, we can definitely take advantage of it.
I see. So do you see it to be a tool that will be used to narrow down your search, possibly make you a better decision, have better numbers, like finance-wise, অনেক help করতে পারবে, I'm pretty sure. Loan issuance এ তো এটা already অনেক বছর ধরে use হয়. When you apply for a loan, they use AI to decide what are the chances of you defaulting the loan. So they will decide whether to sanction or issue the loan or not. So I think maybe একটা সময় আমরা হাউজিং ফিচার্স থেকে বুঝে যাবো যে ইফ আই মুভ ইন টু দিস হাউস, আমার একটা সময় থাকার পরে বাসাটাকে আদৌ ভালো লাগবে কিনা, যে সূর্য ভাই বলতেছিল যে 1 বছর থাকার পরে বোঝা যায়। So maybe I will be able to experience that even before moving into the house. So digitally I will have an option to wear a VR glass. I will just stay and experience the house. এখন কিন্তু অলরেডি পয়েন্ট ক্লাউড ইউজ করে বাসায় ঢোকার আগে ওই ফ্যাসিলিটি চলে আসছে। ইউ ক্যান লুক অ্যারাউন্ড এন্ড ফিল লাইক ইউর ইনসাইড ইট।
নিক তোমাকে একটা লিংক পাঠিয়ে দিল, যাচ্ছে ঠিক আছে 7 দিনই বাসায় থাকে, দেখো কিরকম লাগে। তামাদ্দুন প্রত্যেকদিন 2 ঘন্টা করে বাসায় থাকে।
হতেই পারে। I see that future. Honestly. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. So I don't know. আমি আসলে আমার অনেক কোয়েশ্চেন আছে। একটা জিনিস আমি জানতে চাই, সেটা হচ্ছে as a real estate agent, what are your biggest challenges you face? At the same time, what are some of your biggest success stories? So in the last 5-7 years since you're working in this industry, if you'd like to share it with the audience, biggest challenge as well as biggest success.
Biggest challenges that I personally face, it's staying in touch. Like I love my clients. Like they become my friends, right? So at the same time, you're running for the next one, right? You sell someone a house, they move in, and they are part of you. They are also living that life. You're responsible for their home in a way. So staying in touch, getting more clients, it does take a lot of time. So that's the biggest challenge. Thankfully, there are some tools and things. That's when AI could also help. So that's the biggest success story, Tamadin. To be honest, every transaction is a success story. Every single one of them, because somehow they had a dream, and you made that happen. You're part of it. It's not only me; it's a teamwork, right? I'll give you a quick. This year's success story, there are so many of them. I'm going to give you a quick one. So this family, young couple, wonderful young couple with a little kid, Dylan. They're from El Salvador, and that kid loves me. Every time I go there, he just like jumps and hugs my leg. I'm like, okay, I got another one. I don't even need a kid. So they wanted to buy a house. And they wanted to buy a house for 2 years. And last week when I gave him the key, and the guy literally he was so happy. You could
smell down.
Like the whole, I'm like, leave me alone for now. It's like hugging me. It's like, we got it, man. We got it. So these emotions that you get, from these transactions, and it's just amazing. So yeah, be part of their future. He bought that property not for himself, if you think about it, for the kid. And that kid is gonna grow up having that generational wealth behind him. So being part of those experiences, it's so authentic and so wonderful.
I think it very important যে being part of other people's happiness, or be part of it, and then that you somehow contributed to that moment. I think that means a lot. Any professional জায়গা থেকেই, কোনো professional জায়গা থেকে ওই মোমেন্টটা অ্যাচিভ করতে পারাটা, I think it's huge.
I think I had good mentors in my life too. Most of the mentors আমাকে সবসময় বলছে যে whatever you're trying to sell, look at it like you're helping someone rather than like you're trying to make up. Like if you help someone, and if you help enough people, you'll make enough money. And it happened. I used to sell a lot of cars when I was selling cars. I'd sell 30 cars a month easy. And that's what I was like. I took a lot of people out from like buying an Accord. I sold Hondas. So buying an Accord to a Civic, I'm like, you don't need it. I sold more cars. Maybe I would have spent my entire day trying to sell this guy a Honda Accord and ended up not like qualifying for it, paying more money or interest, or even on gas. So that's very important to help people, and you feel good about it.
Exactly. And that mentor, Grace Olson, she is, one of the advice she gave me is like, don't focus in money. Just focus on doing your job, helping someone. Money is there. It's going to follow you. Just don't chase after it. It will follow you. And that's such a good advice to tell people. Somebody, even they can afford an Accord, and you're seeing they're starting out their life right now. They don't need that $500 monthly payment. And that's type of psychology, philosophy that I also share. On my socials, it's kind of weird, like realtors telling people not to buy. Like I would actually go on the camera and tell people, if you're in this certain situation, don't buy it. I'm not saying don't buy ever. Don't buy it right now. Because if you have bad credit, right? Yeah. What do lenders do? They give you money, right? You go there, you show up, you got 520 credit. Somehow they'll figure out a way to give you money.
Because they're making points on top of it.
There you go. And on those circumstances, right, what happens? When you think about it, somebody has bad credit, right? They want to buy a house. Somehow their in-laws, there are a lot of peer pressure. ভাই বাড়ি কিনে ফেলছে 10 বছর আগে, তুমি এখনো কিনতেছো না কেন? আমার পাড়া প্রতিবেশী সবাই কিনে ফেলছে, তুমি কিনতেছো না কেন? এই ধরনের একটা পিয়ার প্রেশার থাকে। অনেক সময় আমরা তৈরি না হয়েই একটা হুট করে কিনে ফেলি। কিন্তু এই যে কিনা যে লাকিলি, থ্যাঙ্কফুলি, I'm very proud, আমরা বাঙালিরা we work so hard, we work very hard. আমাদের বাঙালিদের ক্রেডিট স্কোর, oh my god, it's so good. In general, comparing with general population, আমাদের ক্রেডিট স্কোর ভালো. So I don't see that many of them, but আমি যখন দেখি যে একজনের ক্রেডিট স্কোর কেন ভালো হয় না, তার একটা বিহেভিয়ার ক্রিয়েট হচ্ছে না, তার প্রায়োরিটিগুলি, ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল প্রায়োরিটিগুলি ঠিক না। এখন কারো একজনের যদি আপনার বিহেভিয়ার ঠিক না থাকে, বিল পে করার অন টাইম, তার উপরে তাকে আরেকটা মর্গেজ পেমেন্ট মাথার উপরে দিয়ে দাও, তাতে হবে কি, বাড়ি তো কিনে ফেললো, সবার সামনে তো খুশি সুখ দেখা যাবে, কিন্তু ইন রিয়ালিটি হবে কি, তাকে একটা কাজের জায়গায় 2টা কাজ করতে হচ্ছে, 2টা কাজের জায়গায় 3টা কাজ, ছেলে মেয়ে পড়ে আছে ঘরে, কোনো সময় দিতে পারছে না। So looking at your financial, creating a good habit, হবে কি, আপনি যদি কত দিন লাগে, 6 থেকে 9 মাস সময় লাগে একটা ক্রেডিট ফিক্স করতে। ভালো ল্যান্ডার আপনাকে গাইডেন্সও দিতে পারবে যে কত তাড়াতাড়ি ফিক্স করা যাবে। 6 মাস দরকার হলে 1 বছর ওয়েট করুন, ডাজন্ট ম্যাটার। তো 1 বছর পরে হবে কি, আপনার একটা হ্যাবিট ক্রিয়েট হয়ে যাবে, তাতে হবে আপনার মান্থলি পেমেন্টটা অনেক ভালো হবে। ক্রেডিট স্কোর ভালো হলে আপনার লোনের ইন্টারেস্ট রেটও অনেক ভালো হয়। So things like that, thinking of people. আমাকে একজন অনলাইন গ্রুপে একজন এরকম বলছে যে এত কথা চিন্তা করলে তো পয়সাই বানানো যাবে না, রাইট?
কি ভয়ঙ্কর একটা কথা। it's like so, but this guy is killing his career right there. He's কোনো চিন্তাই নেই long term এর।
The funny thing is, unfortunately, there are people like that who make gazillions of dollars. They just sign. They just, they don't. I'm not in that for that. I rather sleep good, make a little bit less money, and then guide people in the right direction. That's where I get more pleasure because you're helping someone to build not only themselves. একজন বাঙালি যদি এখানে ভালো একটা পরিস্থিতিতে আসতে পারে তাতে কি হয়, শুধু ফ্যামিলিটাই না, আমাদের বাংলাদেশে কতজন লোক পড়ে আছে, তাদের ভাই হয়তো ওখানে আছে, মা পড়ে আছে, গ্রামে পড়ে আছে, ওদেরকেও সাহায্য হয়। সো হেল্পিং দ্যাম, গাইডিং দ্যাম ইন দ্য রাইট ডিরেকশন, দ্যাটস গোনা হেল্প দ্যাম not to get stressed out. Right. So that's what I love about doing. It's to guiding them in the right direction.
আমি এখানে ছোট্ট একটা রিয়েল এস্টেট নিয়ে যখন কথা হইতেছে, সো রিয়েল এস্টেট এজেন্টদেরও মানে যখন there is some sales jobs, right, যেটা they have a term for it, যে দেখি কোনো কিছু ভালো লাগলো কিনে ফেললাম, একটা ব্যাপার থাকে না। তো একটা জিনিস হয়, যেমন আমি we've been on a property for 7 months under contract. I অনেক কষ্ট করছি, worked really hard for that property. ব্যাংকের অ্যাপ্রেজার আসলো $10,000 কম। $10,000 কম আসলো। আমি তখন what happened was I talked to the seller. I told my agent, I was like, look, I'll take half of it. I'll eat half of it. Tell them to eat half of it. We're on this property for 7 months. I mean, put that property on postal code. Like it was out in West Virginia. So I had to go through. That property was not sold in 100 years, right?
Wow.
So seller করলো কি, বললো যে না, we're not going to give it. So আমি তখন এত হয়ে গেছি যে I'm like, I want to get it done with.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to give that another $5,000. Let's get it done with. Like, because I spent 7 months in it.
Yeah.
My agent said, like, he said, look, the property that you're buying is a huge property in a town. And the person that I'm buying from, they used to own the town. So what happens is, মানে আমেরিকা যারা জানে, আমরা এখানে জানি ওয়েস্ট ভার্জিনিয়া তো খুব মানে ইকোনমি খুব খারাপ। সো হয়েছে কি, ওরা আস্তে আস্তে সব জমিগুলি বিক্রি করতে 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 এখন শেষ হয়ে যেতেছে আর কি, আশেপাশে আছে। তা আমার এজেন্ট আমাকে বললো কি, দেখো, if they're not going to come halfway and meet you there, think about one thing, you have to live in these people, with these people here.
Yeah.
So they're not showing you gratitude from day one. So you should hold a strong hand and say like, I'm not going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I did that, and the seller declined. It was like, we'll terminate the contract. And they did. That property value fell so fast after that. I think that lady had to sell that house $25,000 or $30,000 less than what I was paying her. And whoever bought it, I don't know what, God bless his soul. I hope they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
But that property has been going down since then. Now it came to a head. Yeah. So when COVID happened, this was right around COVID, a lot of properties went up, a lot of properties went down.
Right.
So because it got revealed, because everyone thought that they can sell their property at that time, and so having someone like that, that lady, my agent in West Virginia, telling me that saved me so much money. Even though I have spent a lot of time and spent like going there and doing all those things for buying the place, but
but you are planning to move into the house, not like as an investment.
It's not like
ওখানে থাকতে গেলে I'm pretty sure you probably wouldn't feel welcome anymore.
Exactly. So I mean, either ways, that person's advice saved me from a lot of
So আমি এখানে নিকে একটা কোয়েশ্চেন করতে চাই যে I think every buyer and seller wants to know whether it's the right time to buy or sell. So is there even a way to know? Like, economy, when you listen to the news, it's always like, people are like reacting that it's the worst time, or we are waiting for the worst time, or it's gonna get better. Like there is no confidence in whatever predictions we hear on the media, because media is coming from different angles and they try to make their own judgment on top of it. And we all of us are not qualified to understand all the economics and finances as well. So what do you suggest? Like as a buyer or a seller, is there a right time? Is there a right season? Or is there certain metrics that we should be aware of to make that decision that this is my right time to buy or sell a property?
Okay. So
I know it's a little technical, but
it's good. It's
whatever
good.
details you can share with us.
It's good.
Yeah.
I love that question because every realtor's probably gazillion times been asked that.
Right.
Is it a good time to buy? Right. In a generic answer, realtor will say, of whatever salespeople, right? So yes, of course.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. It's not one size fits all, right? My advice to anybody who asks me that question would be, are you ready? Is that the right time for you? Other things are don't worry about it. Do you have all of your financial straight up? Remember, we talked about real estate it's not 1 day, 2 day, 3 days game. It's a long-term game. So when you're buying an investment property, how long are you planning on holding it? When you're buying your first home, how long you're planning on living there? What the market condition is gonna be? Don't worry about the interest rate and all the prices and all of that. Yeah, worry about some aspect, but real estate will go up and down, right? If you look at the last 40, 50 years, as long as they kept track, real estate has always
been going up.
Always been going up. So if you look at the graph, right, it goes up like this for last 50 years. But within that, you'll have this, you'll have this, you'll have this, you'll have this. But trajectory,
right,
in 30 years, you would always have close to 3 times what you put in. So to answer that question, is it a good time to buy? I would say look at your situation. Is it a good time to sell? Also look at your situation. Is that house that you're living in, is it too big for you? Is it the kids empty nesters, right? The kids বড় হয়ে গেছে, ওরা ওদের নিজের সংসার করে যাচ্ছে। কিডসকে বড় করছো এই বাড়িতে বিগ ম্যানশন দিয়ে, এখন একটা শব্দ করলে একো আসে আরেক রুম থেকে। এইটাকে মেনটেন করতে হয়, আপনাকে উপরের তালা উঠতে সমস্যা হয়। Is that the right house for you? That's the question. Is it the right time for you? Because everything in life has a chapter, right? এই চ্যাপ্টারটা কি আপনি ক্লোজ করতে চাচ্ছেন কিনা, নেক্সট চ্যাপ্টারের জন্য আপনি তৈরি আছেন কিনা? So as selling it's a little bit different than buying. So selling would be like you're completely moving into a different chapter. There are a couple of reasons for people sell. I don't know if you know, this is another statistics I love. 40%, over 40% of U.S. homes has been cleared, paid off.
Oh, wow.
There's no mortgage on it.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is, you know what, I love you said that.
That's a good thing.
This is why I'm not worried about foreclosure. There are a lot of people say, oh, look, foreclosure is a part of life. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to lose their job. Somebody's going to die. Unfortunately, it's sad. Somebody's going to get divorced. And they're going to have financial struggle. It's sad. It's a part of life. So, but you're not going to see flood of foreclosure like we did in 2008, 2009. Because of that, because people are sitting in a lot of equity. Last few years, price appreciated like 3 times more. 30% more. So now
there's a lot of built up equity right there.
A lot of built up equity. Even if you're missing your payments for 2-3 months.
Yeah, they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah.
Even if you miss it for 8-9 months, you still have enough. Most houses, I'm not saying all, it's not all houses have equity, but in most cases, you'll have enough equity to sell that house and not get into foreclosure. Foreclosure are still happening, but it is that. So,
but 2008 was upside down because on the houses they were all upside down, so everything got foreclosed.
2.9 million houses were foreclosed in 2009, 2008.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling. Right before COVID, in 2019, it was 512,000 foreclosed.
Yeah, I remember it was feeding frenzy for the investors.
Yeah.
It was feeding fence. I know multiple one of them around here. They still have properties on rent that they bought in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you kind of mentioned that, but I just wanted to elaborate that on a little bit. You talked about that, once you own a property, you have some sort of an emotional attachment to it, right? So, and when you want to sell it, because of, life puts you in that situation. Yeah. So as a real estate agent, how do you deal with the seller's, emotional side of things? Because, it can be sometimes quite overwhelming if you have lived your, a big part of your life in a house with your spouse, with your children, with your, pets and everything. So when you want them to move on, sell that house and get into something else, as an agent who is kind of working in the middle, how do you deal with that? Or do people actually reach out to you and kind of open up to you and share that feeling? And how do you even live with that? Because sometimes that can be pretty difficult for the agent as well. So
I've sold houses that the kids who are now 75 years old. They grew up there. Their dad lived there. Their mom lived there. They passed away, and the kids, they have their own lives. They don't have as much attachment to their homes. So when somebody comes to a realtor, they've already made up their mind in a way. They want to move on. But emotional attachment comes when you're pricing a home.
Okay, interesting.
I see.
This is when the biggest mistakes are made when an agent sells a property, right? Even realtors would price their home higher because of that emotional attachment.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Because,
makes sense.
Because that granite countertop we talked about, you put in 30 years ago, you still remember that.
Right.
But you know what? The buyers really don't really care for that, right? So you are going to price your home. You're going to say, my neighbor's house sold for $500,000. I put $75,000 just for the granite countertop like 30 years ago. So I want $75,000 more than he does. But that's when the biggest, emotion gets in the way. But having conversation it's the key. Dealing with your emotion, with their emotion, when they're getting ready to sell, everybody's gonna go through that emotion themselves. There's really not much I can do. If I say, you're gonna move on, I'm gonna find you a bigger home, nicer home, or smaller home, whatever that is, that's gonna be too salesy to me.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel like I'm trying to push someone to move out of their home. I'm not here for that. I'm here to facilitate their transition. When they made up their mind, they want to move on to something different. When they're older, they want to move into something smaller they can manage. That I can make it happen, but I'm never gonna have a conversation.
Or at least they come to you with a problem.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, Nick, this is my problem.
Yeah.
I can't maintain this anymore. It's getting too much. What can we do about this?
Yeah. And they're strategic. There has to be, and that's the good thing. When you have that thoughts and having someone speaking with them, talking to them, having that, it doesn't have to be sold right away, right? But there's still some transition. All the 30 years worth of stuff you have in your garage.
Right.
How we're gonna, there are times, funny, I even took videos of it. Sometimes I would actually go and clean up with them because it shows them you're with them, you're supporting them. So that's
very nice. Yeah, that's very nice of you.
That's actually a very good sign of a good realtor. Like if your realtor is helping you out, and I have a very good friend who is a very good friend. He used to be a realtor. He just got out of the business. He doesn't want to sell anymore. His wife actually sold Tamadun's house, this house, and at least 15 more houses within our family. So that is how he gets in.
Yeah.
He doesn't do any marketing, nothing. It's just word of mouth. And every word of mouth is like, they say the best thing about him. It was like, what? Access is everywhere. We're like, okay. He would like hold your hand in everything, even though he has 5, and he would not make you, not feel special. Yeah. And then he's very straightforward. Sometimes rude. People would think he's rude, but he's just straightforward. He's like, dude, you're paying me to help you out. Like, what are you trying to do?
Right.
So it's very important.
I think it's very important that, think of your real estate agent as some sort of an advisor
Yeah.
rather than somebody is convincing you to buy or sell a property.
Yeah.
I think once you have that mindset, I think it's possible that you can still sell or buy a house without the intervention of a real estate agent, but it's going to be really, really difficult. You have to do a lot of research on your own, go through a lot of papers, and you read through all those clauses, try to understand what all those different terms mean. I never even tried, and I don't know if anybody wants to try, but it's very, very difficult. I mean, I cannot thank enough like all the real estate agents who actually do it for us.
See, second transaction, I did not know about title insurance. It was a long time ago, though. And my agent told me, like, we got to get title insurance. I was like, what the hell is title? Why am I going to pay more? I was like, this is why you're going to pay more for it. I was like, okay, I didn't know that.
Now that you actually brought that question, maybe some of your viewer might have a question.
Yeah,
please.
Title
Just
go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are two types of title insurance. If you have a loan, that's like lender title insurance. Lender wants to make sure there's no claim on the title. Somebody's not coming back and say, I own this property. There's another called owner's title insurance. So when you have a loan, that lender's title insurance, there's no option. You have to buy. They don't give you an option. But the owner's title insurance, you have an option. You can opt out and say, I don't want to pay the $1,800 for that. But you're buying a $500,000 property. Do you want some scammer somehow? It does happen.
Yeah, I mean, even Nick, but you're buying $100,000 property.
Right.
You should have it. It doesn't cost you that much.
That much.
Yeah.
So funny. The funny thing is, so back in the days, right, 1800s, 1700s, all these properties that we see, these are all like what, like farmland, right? So somebody owned 400 acres, and they subdivided, gave it to this person, that person. Somehow, somebody inherited a money they didn't really care. I'm just saying it doesn't happen all the time. This is how the title insurance can help. So somebody got a property, inherited, their father actually put it on their will. They never registered, but they have all the documentation. They could come back and claim somehow. Who knows? If it's everything legitimate claim, the law is gonna protect them. Somebody over the years just kept selling this property, but they have legitimate claim. So how do you protect yourself for that? So the title insurance will protect you for those kind of claims. And there are a lot of scamming happening. They're going to court and it's legitimate, make it look legitimate. And so
yeah, and especially when you're buying land and stuff.
Yeah, I think first few months I got so many mails in my mailbox. I used to send it to right? Yeah. I used to scan them and send it to like, I'm receiving this. Should I be paying this money? It's like, no, only pay this. I was like,
get them a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that exact thing. Like someone helping you. Like even after months you bought that transaction was done, she replied to your emails.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very important. It's like, this is the only way we can change আমাদের slate clear করতে পারবো as a salesperson. Like if we start helping more people, stop being sleazy. It's very important to stop being sleazy with things like.
Yeah, and it's good to know people like Nick. Like like there are like taboos and stigmas as Nick was mentioning, like towards certain professions, but there are really amazing people in those industries and professions as well. You just have to find the right person, and that right person might just change your perception altogether. So, and I'm glad we met.
Yeah, and since Axis is not doing it anymore, I'm really glad that I have him now. I know, like I was telling him that on a phone conversation. I was like, man, I was worried. Like if I had to do another transaction somehow, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. But you're there now. Yeah. I can, like. You never know. Of course. Things happen. You gotta,
And you're so correct. And within our Bengali community, we all work hard, and we within our community there are so many knowledgeable people, and that's what we're trying to do. Even with Sarab, promote them. Even Bright Star, Sanjay Chaudhary, Nasrin Liza, they're there. They're doing a entertainment company. They're hello Dhaka, I don't know, Mishu Apu, Dhaka treats, Liza Apu. You know, they all are trying to do their own thing and try to put themselves out there as professionals. So that's very important, and I'm happy. Many of us, you guys, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you. And this is what's gonna give us a microphone that we can speak. We can come and say, hey, we're out there.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, welcome. I mean, I'm so glad that all these people are coming together. I have recently, I was just like you. I've lived a long time here, most of my life here. And I never got involved with the community, even though my dad was involved when he was alive. But I was always that Bengali kid. I was like, nothing's going to happen there, you know? So until recently, I got involved into the community again. And I would say right around 2017, 18. And I have seen the whole community change. The narration that we had is changing. Different things like with the new companies, we have so much innovative businesses now, and people are trying so hard. And if we don't support each other, this cannot continue. So it's very important for people to support.
And we can rant around for hours if we want to, but let's not get bogged into that. Let's talk about the positive things and the changes that are happening, and try to inspire and motivate people, right? I mean, that's what we have always been doing.
Like just gas station.
When we meet, like when I meet a fellow Bengali, I just rant about the system that we left behind and how exactly the community is behaving here, because we're not, there are things that we're not happy or proud about, but let's change it. Let's try to change it. Let's make a change. And change it for good. Right?
It starts with us. It's our responsibility, and it's doable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we covered a lot of ground today, but I know like we took almost 2 hours. So
2 hours?
Almost 2 hours. Yeah, I know. Like, so I want to give an open floor to Nick Bhai.
Whatever you want to talk about.
So whatever you want to talk about, and if we missed anything, if there anything you would like to highlight. And at the end, if there's any social or community issues or cultural issues that, community should talk about more often that needs to be addressed, please let us know. We would like to keep this conversation going on so that it helps the community. So open floor to you, whatever you want to tell your audience and all well-wishers of you.
Thank you, Tamadin. I appreciate it. I can thank you enough. Again, thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. I think we talked about a lot of stuff. I'll start with the Sarep. We are having one of the biggest South Asian cultural event on October 5th. There's going to be all-day program from 10 a.m. to 7 a.m. You're going to see, when you walk in, you're going to have a passport given to you. So you literally travel to each country, learn about their culture, learn about their food, amazing food, authentic Bengali food, authentic Nepali.
You got me right there.
So it's going to be an amazing event, and you're going to see what clothing each country wear. It's just going to be amazing. So daytime, that's what's going to happen. And our Tariq Mehdi is another amazing person. He is helping us with that. Wayne Pierre, another musician, amazing musician. He is doing the cultural side of the things. So it's going to be amazing. There's going to be fashion show, dance, music. In the evening, I don't know if you guys are Bollywood singer Nomika Singh.
I know. I don't know what Tamaddun most probably doesn't know who can sing.
But Shurjo Bhai listens.
Big deal.
So he's got like some 100 million hits and some videos. So he's gonna be performing. Okay. We're bringing him from Bollywood. So he's gonna be performing from 8:30 till
midnight.
And people can actually take pictures with him. So I would like everybody to come in October 5th, Dallas Town Center, and 10 o'clock. Obviously, I'm going to be there, and I hope you guys are going to be there, and I want everybody to come there. Speaking of real estate, going back to real estate, it's again, look at things in a long-term basis. How you see your life 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Always remember what you're leaving behind to your next generation. How you're making their life comfortable, so they can make their next generation comfortable. So that's very, very important. Other than that, I think we got everything covered. If you can see me, Nick Rowan, please do like my pages, Nick Rowan Realtor, or you can friend me on Instagram, or you can friend me. I'm even on TikTok. I'm an old guy, and I'm on TikTok.
That's what coaches do, right? Be on all the social media.
Yeah, we were talking about being on TikTok too.
Yeah. We have been thinking about it. I don't have TikTok on my phone yet, but I'm thinking about having it on. But yeah, what I have heard, like, there are so many criticism of TikTok, but I heard really good stuff about TikTok as well.
Yeah.
So especially like in the tech industry, I heard like it kind of revolutionized. Like, you get to learn tricks and tips with like 10 seconds reels and videos that you might need like to watch like an hour video just to learn about that. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure like things are gonna, like old people like us are gonna start adapting as well. But just out of curiosity, you mentioned about the generational wealth, right? Like how you pass it on. I also heard about something to do with the inheritance tax. How exactly that come into play, or how much exactly the next generation needs to pay if they inherit the property. I don't know if that's within the real estate industry or not, but if you have some idea, please, if you would like to share it with us.
That you actually said it right. That's out of my lane. So that's kind of like accountant, CPA related questions. There are ways to minimize your tax burden for your kids. Something that would be a CPA would be able to answer that question better.
Okay, got it. All right.
Thanks, Nick. So Amra, we're gonna close it today. Till we see you again, good people.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nick Bhai. We'll see you again.
All right.
And yeah.
Happy to do it.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, I think we went good today.
Yeah.
I was like,